Today, we're going to talk to you about water not dispensing from your LG refrigerator. Now, the first thing we always begin with is the power on? Not expecting you to roll the unit out, but if you'll open a door and see if the lights come on, display comes on, that's what we're looking for. Please be advised though, if you're in an area that's had tornadoes, hurricanes, power disruptions, and your lights just don't look as bright as they did before, call an electrician to verify you've got proper power. But for 90% of what we're doing, just make sure that it lights up and you're probably okay. All right, so you're not getting any water. First thing my question would be is when you select water and you press this lever, are you hearing a humming noise? If you're hearing a humming noise, is your water connected? And or is the water turned on? Because the hum means the valves are energizing, they're trying to bring water in, but nothing's happening. So that would be a good time to, at that point, you're probably going to need to go behind the unit and check, was the water line connected correctly? If you're using a plastic or vinyl tube, sometimes when the units push back, they will get kinked in two, just like a garden hose. So you have to make sure that hose or water line is not kinked or crushed to where the water gets through. All right, so you have to make sure the water gets to the refrigerator. Now, depending on if you installed it or an installer installed it would be who needs to go back there and check. If you're trying to prevent having to wait for service, it'd be something I would check. So let's make sure we have water to the unit. Now, another thing to look for is when you come up to the refrigerator, I'm going to press and hold this button here. It's the lock button. Now, after about 3 to 5 seconds, it'll blink and go to a solid padlock. At that point, nothing works. So if you're not getting water, make sure the control pad is not locked. Now what this feature is for is if we have small children that they've got to that age, they like to push stuff, you may want to lock your display so they don't come over here and flood the floor for you or pour all your ice out. So that's what the lock feature is for. So if you, while it's locked, that icon will stay lit even when the rest of the board goes dark. So if you see that, just press and hold the lock button for about 3 to 5 seconds and it'll flash. Now, when I hit the lever, we will get water. The other thing you want to look for are all the upper doors closed. If the left or right door or the door and door are open, the unit will not dispense water. All these need to be closed for the dispenser to operate. Now, the other thing I want to ask you, is it a brand new install? If it is, does your display work correctly? And the other thing I want you to do is to open your door. Now, on older units, they had push buttons here. On newer units, we use what's called a reed switch. It's a magnetically controlled switch. Since I told you the unit won't dispense if the doors are open, anytime these units are moved, if they have to take the doors off to bring them in the home, there's wiring connections at each hinge that have to be unplugged and then plugged back in. If you've got a magnet at the house, open a door, take a magnet, and this little hump is the magnet in the door, same on the other side. So go to about that area and put your magnet. If the lights go out, then everything's okay. But if the lights don't go out and you just recently moved or recently purchased the unit, either yourself, if you did your own installation, or the installation crew needs to come back and correct this wiring. They probably left a plug unplugged. All right. Now, the other thing about no water dispensing is how old is the filter? Now, depending on the water quality, or if the fire department's just blowing the lines out and a lot of crud gets in, filters can get clogged. Filters are only good for about 6 months. Now in LG refrigerators, we either have our filters up here in the top with a little cover you got to pull down, but on most of the new ones, it's right here in the door. What you're going to do is grab this bottom bucket, lift up, take the filter, pull it out about 45 degrees, grab it, twist it about a quarter turn, and it'll pop off. That's because it was under pressure because we've had water going through it. Take your new filter, unwrap it, pull the cap, make sure you're using a LG filter. You'll place it in. You'll feel when it lines up, push in and rotate about a quarter turn. Push it in. Place your bucket back on. And that could be why you weren't getting any water. Your filter could have been clogged. Now, on older LG products, they had what was called a bypass. It was a little plastic device that screwed in or went in where the filter is. If you did not want to use your filter, you had to put that bypass in. You couldn't just throw the filter away because at that point, no ice, no water. But if you put the bypass in, it would work for you. So if you have an older product and you haven't been using a filter, you must have the bypass in. Now, the last thing I want to bring up is when you replace your filter, you have to purge the lines. That filter is full of air. So every time you start getting water, those lines are going to fill up with air, and they could cause problems for you if you don't get it out, especially with the ice maker, because the ice maker is looking for an exact amount of water to make those cubes. So what you do after you install your ice maker, or correction, your filter, get a pitcher and come over here and dispense about a gallon or two of water. That gets all the air out of the lines and makes sure that water operation and ice maker operation are not affected. Hopefully what we've covered today on water not dispensing will assist you in preventing a service call to your house and allowing you to get the unit back operating correctly without a wait. On behalf of LG, thank you for your viewing.